Hello there, friends. Today is the first day of the second week of Advent. So that means that today we get to light the second Advent candle, and we will actually do that together at the end of this video, so stay tuned until the end. But before we do that, I want to talk to you a little bit today about peace. Peace is one of the themes that is traditionally chosen for the second week of Advent. Last week we talked about hope. And so this week we're going to talk about peace. We're also going to talk a little bit about prophecy, which is another common theme. When you think of peace, what do you think of? I'm a mom, and so when I think of wanting peace, I have 3 kids living in my home. I think of wanting calm. I want everyone to get along. I want there to be no conflict, and that's what I think of when I think of peace. There's actually several prophecies about peace in the Old Testament. One of them is in Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 6 and 7. This is a verse I'm sure you've heard. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. And of his government and peace there will be no end. Now, did you know that there are actually over 300 prophecies in the Old Testament that are referring to Jesus Christ? If you haven't studied very many prophecies, I'd encourage you to take this time during Advent to look into that, because it's so cool to see how the Old Testament and the New Testament fit together. So you can take some time to do that if you haven't done it before. But there's another prophecy that specifically talks about peace found in Micah. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but it talks about how one will come from Bethlehem and he will be ruler over all of Israel. And then in the end of chapter 5, verse 5, it says, and he will be our peace when the Assyrians attack. Now, if you think about being in war and being attacked, do you think about peace? So how can this one that's coming, that they were talking about, be peace in that situation? Well, when I looked into what peace is used there, in the verses in Isaiah, the word peace is the Hebrew word shalom. You've probably heard that before. It's used sometimes as a greeting, but that Hebrew word shalom, it actually is translated, the kind of peace that it is, it means completeness or soundness or well-being. So if you put that into that verse and think about Christ being the completeness, it just brings this whole new meaning to what is being talked about here. And I love the correlation between prophecy and peace, because the prophecies are completed, or the peace is brought by Jesus. So you can see how that fits together, and the fact that Jesus is the completion of the prophecy and peace actually means completion. I just think that that's really amazing. So, while we have a lot of chaos in our lives, Jesus had a lot of chaos. Think about his life here on earth. Remember how when he was a baby, King Herod was trying to get him and his family was having to hide? And of course, we know that later in his life, he was rejected by many and hated, and then eventually even killed. So obviously, Jesus had struggle. He had conflict. Chaos was in the world when he was in it. So this doesn't mean that peace will always look like no chaos or no conflict in life. But what we can know is that we have shalom. Jesus brings peace. That means he brings completion. So he makes my life complete. He completes the story of the prophecies, and he will complete the story of the prophecies about his return. So I just encourage you to think about peace in a different way this week. In Luke chapter 2, verse 14, when it tells the Christmas story, it says, the angel said, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those on whom his favor rests." So I just encourage you to think about Christ's peace in terms of his completion. He will complete his work in you. He has completed his work in the prophecies about his coming to earth, and he will complete the work about him coming again. And now let's light that second candle.
O come thou day spring, calm and cheer our spirits by thine advent here. disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O